Yeah, morning. Welcome to this panel discussion. We have 40 minutes and then we have the director's address. I think you can see one of the first values, I believe most of us on a lighter note, is bunk when it's possible. So that's happened, but it's all right. We'll proceed. We have a list of distinguished panelists. Lele has come in now, which is also quite good. Thanks. We have Dr. right from my left to further down here, right. And we have Professor Srivardhan Lele, 1987, computer science, now a distinguished teaching fellow at the School of Business in the University of Maryland. He did an MA Statistics from University of Michigan, Ann Arbor, and then a PhD from the same university. He's been Ralph J. Tyser Distinguished Teaching Fellow of Decision Sciences at the Smith School of Business. And his interests include incentives and games of strategy, sustainability and management of ethics, and analytical decision making. Welcome, Lele. Welcome back. Then we have Rajat Mukherjee. Rajat also belongs to the class of 87. He's presently a Vice President, Product Management at Lexity. A very brief bio. He did his master's and his PhD in computer engineering from Rice University. And then, of course, he's now VP of Lexity, formerly called Verve. He's been a group product manager at Google, a co-founder and CTO at College, and a senior director of product management at Yahoo, and director of software engineering at Verity. Served as a server architect at Stratify, Purple Yogi, or probably known better as Purple Yogi, a research staff member at IBM, both at the Al Martin Center and the Watson Research Center. Then we have Balasubramaniam, Parasuram Balasubramaniam, graduated in IIT Madras 1971, BTech Aerospace, then did his master's in the Department of Humanities and Social Sciences, Industrial Management 71-73, and then a PhD in Industrial Engineering from Purdue. Right now he is CEO of Teamwork Analytics and served as Senior Vice President in Infosys earlier, and also as Technical Director and CEO of High-Tech Software and CEO of Cholamandalam Software and other firms. Then we have V. Shankar, IIT Madras 1981, and a PGDM from IIM Calcutta in 83. He's worked as, he's right now a Director in CAMS, Repository Services. I'm sure most of you who are making investments in India would be using CAMS services. And Director in ASUS Software, a Director in CAMS, and a Sales Manager in Ponds earlier. Finally, we have Professor Devdas Menon. Many students regard him as one of the gurus in the campus, remarkable thinker and a wonderful speaker. He did his bachelor's in 1980, civil engineering, master's in IIT Delhi, and an MS from the University of Calicut, and then his PhD in IIT Madras. He's worked earlier as a structural design engineer and consultant and faculty at NIT Calicut before joining IIT Madras in 1998, and he's been serving the Department of Civil Engineering since then. One of the interesting things about Menon is he's offered a very offbeat course concerning broadly the theme of managing the self, if you want to put it that way. So that's the brief profile of our panelists, and on with the topic, values learnt at IIT Madras. So I'll just ask a simple question because we have 40 minutes. I thought we'll be fair to the audience and leave 20 minutes for the audience for questioning, and we'll just take 20 minutes, which means we have just about 4 minutes, including changeover time, 3 minutes per panelist. Okay, a quick thing. Can you quickly point out what were your most, I'm starting from Lele, what are the most difficult decisions you faced where your conscience was really troubled in IIT Madras?
That probably lasted 4 years, but...
You mean the conscience lasted 4 years, or?
the difficult decisions.
Okay.
I'd probably have to say pass. I need to think about this.
Okay, cool. No, that's actually a good answer, you know, that you find it difficult to think of a most testing moment in your life. Quickly, Rajat, testing moment, really you felt, I was really tested, you know.
I was tested.
As a human being, not as a student, okay?
I was tested more as a student, I think,
Okay.
than as a human being.
So let's leave the exams and quizzes and periodicals out then.
Yeah, but I think there are times, I mean, again, I think this is a difficult question to answer like on the spur of the moment. But there are times I think we all, I think I can speak for everybody, that we went through, difficult times. I think the toughest challenges for us all were, the academic pressures and, how we were expected to perform, and how we set our own kind of standards for performance. And then, how we had evolved as people. I think, in fact, the more I was thinking about, so I'll bridge it a little bit in terms of my answer. The more I was thinking about values, what is the value I got out of IIT? I think today we heard a lot about technology, but I think it's not really about technology. In fact, the reason I asked myself, why am I here, is really about people, I think. The most important value that endures over time, I think, is about relationships. And I think there were times when, through the tests that we went through, that you're referring to, and I can't point out specific things, but I think the relationships, some of the relationships that I have built here are so enduring that I think you can't put a value to that. I mean, well, it's a value, but you can't put a monetary value to that, right? Or any substantial kind of tangible value to that. And so, for example, I have friends here at this meeting, at this reunion, who I've known for, I think, 39 years. That's the longest I have. There are a couple of guys from St. Joseph's who, my school. Interestingly enough, I was just thinking about it, and our sort of nicknames, Pat, Rat, and Cat. It's kind of interesting.
Okay.
I've known them for 39 years, and I'm sure there are people here who've known each other for more than that. Maybe 40, 41 years. So, but it's not just that. It's people you meet over the 4 years here who help you through the process. And I've had lots of trying times, and I've had friends who've actually been there for me. So, for example, last year my father passed away, and I came back. He was diagnosed with cancer, and there are 4 guys here who have stood by me.
Great.
I mean, it's not my relatives who came and helped me out during my time of need. It was my IIT friends.
Excellent.
And I think that that is the value I ascribe to IIT.
That is giving precedence to relationships and the maintenance.
I think it's not about technology. I don't remember a lot of the stuff I learned.
Yeah.
But what I do know I can relate to is I can count on these.
Because we'll come back to this topic. I'm sure somebody will question, has technology actually aided the relationship? We'll come to P. Balasubramaniam.
Thank you.
By the way, is it okay if I ask what were your nicknames while you were here?
Certainly.
And I'm sure you found it strange that I called you Mr. Lele or Professor Lele. Yeah. No, not speakable, forget it, it's all right.
I had such a weird last name that Lele was my nickname.
Lele was, yeah. No, but it has many meanings depending on the language you use. Sure. Okay, sure. Rajat?
I was referred to lovingly as Rat.
No?
I still am referred to as Rat by many of my close friends. Rat. R-I-T, Rat.
Okay. So that means you have 2 rats. You named another rat also.
So the guys I know for like 39 years are Rat, I mean myself, Rat, Cat, and Pat, who are from St. Joseph's. It's interesting.
Thanks, yeah. Balasubramaniam.
Okay, that's easy one to guess for everyone, because even from 2 years before...
You may have to hold the mic a little closer.
Even a few years before, because I joined in 66, but even my prior batches, anyone who was Balasubramanian, you know what the nickname was.
Of course. You have no choice.
Right. None of us had any choice. There were 3 Balasubramaniams in my class. So we were called P balls, Q balls, and N balls. And I presume the tradition continues even today.
Okay. Right. So the question, the most testing time you faced.
Testing time. Yeah. In fact, this is a very interesting question, because there's something that I have been struggling with all my life, which is a sense of fairness. Even as a student here, this was a big issue for me. When in any exam, if the teacher did not give me the grade that I was expecting, it was an issue of fairness to me. If any of my classmates copied from me, learned from me, but ended up getting better grades, that was an issue of fairness to me. If a professor who is in the business of assigning projects or summer work to students assigns me to a particular one and another one to another project, that was an issue of fairness to me. So I always struggled here with what is fair, what is unfair. And fortunately, what I learned here, observed here, has also helped me subsequently in life. Because much of my work, whether here or abroad, I found ultimately hinges on this issue of your sense of fairness. In today's society, many of us are playing the role of a manager. You can think of the 4 factors of production. Money can be discounted, consumed and discounted. Raw materials can be consumed. Capital can be depreciated. But you use human resources and you use any of these terms, depreciated, consumed, nothing works. You have to nurture them. And what does nurture mean? That you display tremendous sense of fairness to every individual, not in a statistical sense, but in the sense of one-on-one basis. So this is a great lesson that I learned. The concepts were evolved in my IIT days, and I would say they crystallized during the rest of my career. So that's the greatest value I have derived out of my IIT days.
Great, Balasubramaniam. I'm sure you're going to be asked a question on connecting with Rajat, you know, when relationships contradict with fairness. I'm sure this is going to come up. Shankar, the most testing time, which you can recall at least.
Yeah.
I'm sure Lele's mind is working, you know. Probably you have so many that you're not able to identify one. Okay. Yeah.
See, it's a tough question. Fortunately, I'm fourth, so as we go along, we have more time to think about what we can. Shanks, I was known as. There was a couple of other names that I probably not right to talk about in a public forum. But I think Shanks is the one that stuck. And when I say stuck, now I'll take your question literally. And there were 2, I suppose, challenges of some sort that I went through at various stages of my career at IIT. The first is very simple and very, it's actually quite obvious if you just look at me. I was approximately half of my weight when I first entered IIT and approximately the same height. So having established a sort of equilibrium when I was in school with all my tormentors and tormentees, I came into a totally new universe and I had to, took me the best part of a year to establish an equation with, with my batchmates. So all of them are very good friends, but it took that year to establish that equation. And it was in the process of establishing the equation that a lot of nicknames and so on, water under the bridge now. But part of the equilibrium is an understanding that my long-term nickname is Shanks, and that's where it stands today. So that was one. But the more sort of quasi-professional challenge I faced is, I guess, when I was in my final year, and you know, in those days, maybe 95% of the batch was always applying for some university abroad or the other. And I was a reasonably good performer, so everybody in my peer set was, you know, applying for 4 universities. So I chose not to. And that sort of people looked at me and said, and the only other people who did not were people who could not, and not by choice. So that was really a decision that I agonized over for a very long time before I finally decided that, you know, I'll just stay here and you know, see what happens. Turned out to be good for me, and turned out to be mainstream these days. But at that time, it was a very big challenge.
Was it dominated more by personal criteria?
No,
or
not at all.
Was there some dimension of patriotism coming in? Or
yes, I think perhaps there was the feeling somewhere that, you know, paying whatever 30 rupees a year or whatever was the fee at that time, which was even in those days standard.
What was your mess bill like at that time per day?
100 a month.
100 a month.
100 a month.
Okay, great.
103 or something, I still remember.
Now it's about 100
that
a day.
per day, yeah. No, probably more than that.
Sure. Okay.
So even by those standards, it was patently a ridiculous fee to charge. And at all times, IIT has been charging a ridiculous fee for the education they give. So there was an element of patriotism. There was an element of, if everybody is doing one thing, why don't you try the other, sort of, you know, contrarian mentality.
The explorer.
Yeah, explorer mentality.
The contrarian.
Yes, the contrarian, yeah, I suppose.